Auction chaos? Can we agree on anything, my partner and I? I don't think so, but we're going to talk about some interesting cars. We can agree on that. This is Bid Nerds. Bidding starts now. Bid Nerds is your YouTube card game show. All right, we are here for a live episode of Bid Nerds. Welcome everyone who is hanging out live with us. And if you're watching this after it's live, thanks for watching. We love you guys, and we are getting after it tonight. We have some disagreements to be had when it comes to analyzing listings and making predictions. Last week's episode was fire. We had Sarah from 000 Magazine, and she had some really good takes, and I think we scared her away, or maybe I did, because that's kind of what I do. But she was awesome. Hopefully she's watching tonight to see the results of the auction predictions that we made last week. My name is John Polnik. I am your host, coming to you live from the Container Park in downtown Las Vegas, as well as my partner, Michael Deeb, over there on the other side of the screen. He's not here in Vegas. He's in San Francisco. What's up, Michael Deeb? How you doing tonight?
What's up, JP? Quick shout out to Chris Carbine and his posse. JP, those guys are literally en route or just landed coming home from Texas from the Hill Country Rally that by all accounts, now that Chris Carbine is a repeat offender, I'm losing track. I think Chris has done either 2, maybe 3 of these in a row. Every time he goes, he takes a bigger group. John, you and I have to have one of these little pinky pack things where we promise we will both own an air-cooled that runs and get off our asses and go do that with Carbine and the crew. By all accounts, they had another epic time, 400 air-cooled Porsches on some of the greatest roads in the middle of effing Texas. I got to say, I'm jealous, FOMO. But Ann went. Some of the guys in Carbine's group took spouses. Ann ran shotgun and probably had to do all the navigating. So just welcome home to those guys. I hope they were all safe and had a great time, and we definitely want to join them next time. So that's awesome. I'm super jealous. The pictures look incredible. Good job.
One of these days we'll make it out of Texas for one of those. That does sound fun. This weekend here in Las Vegas is the Lemons Rally, the Route 66 plan. So we've got friends coming in from all over the country this week to have some fun with that. Yeah. So we'll be joining Mental and some other crazy people out there. So yeah, lots going on, and man. We're getting into the driving season.
Wait. You told me you and Rami might just go.
We might crash the Lemons race just to see what's up.
Yeah, let's go. Let's spit some flames on these guys. That'd be awesome. I hope you guys do it, and you guys are filming the whole time. That would be really cool. I probably won't make it out for the rally, but I'll come out post. It looks like you and I might move some metal after that rally is over. So we got lots to talk about, but I may be in Vegas once or twice in April, so I'm looking forward to it.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it. And then I think Sahan is coming out for his birthday on the 17th of April. So, man, all kinds of stuff going on.
Trying to tag along for that one, too. So, like I said, I might be out there twice in 1 month.
Wow.
So weird.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, well, let's get to auctions and auction results. If you're new to the show, welcome. What we do on the show is we pick the most interesting cars from all the automotive enthusiast auction sites like Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, P-Car Market, and more. We pick those listings and we analyze them. We talk about why they're good, why they're bad, and then we get to the good stuff. We make predictions. What do we think the hammer will come down for on those individual cars that we analyze the listing? So let's get to it. We always start every episode by going over the predictions that we made on the last episode. So we actually put our money where our mouth is. We actually hold ourselves accountable. What kind of weird-ass YouTube channel will do something so stupid? It's called Bid Nerds. That's what we do. So let's get to it. What was the first car on our list from the last episode, D, before we get to new predictions?
All right. We are going to check in on the 1998 Porsche 911 Carrera S Coupe with a 6-speed manual. Our car was listed on Bring a Trailer out of Los Angeles, California, and the big stunning news here, JP, is that this car only has 9,000 original miles from new. Pandering to our guest host, Sarah Lassick from 000 Magazine, who not only works for one of the coolest Porsche magazines ever created, but she also owns a 993 herself, and super cool girl, wonderful personality, and obviously a little bit of a resident expert on all things air-cooled Porsche. JP, What we wound up discussing about this car had less to do about the car and more to do about the novice seller who was trying to cut his teeth and bring his beloved Porsche to market for the world to fight over. And instead of fighting over the car, they started to crucify him. What we're talking about essentially is that this particular seller is obviously new to Bring a Trailer and the format. He did not provide his audience on BAT with a lot of engagement. People started to question him and then question the car. One of the things that came to light, JP, had something to do with like paint meter readings and all the disclosure he tried to provide came into question. So he decided to go back and repaint meter the car to put the full disclosure and put the quell to sleep. In the same time, he asked BAT if they would extend the auction so that as he brought new data to support the value of his car, that his potential bidders and buyers would have time to digest that data. So BAT agreed and extended the auction by 48 hours. And John, in the 5 years that you and I have been doing the show, I don't know that I've ever heard that before. We've seen bids pulled because somebody typed the wrong number. We've seen bids canceled. We've seen people fail to buy, but I don't remember BAT extending an auction so that the audience would have more time to process data that was being brought to light. It's almost like a court case, which again gives you this weird tone for such a beautiful car. So this was an uphill sled for a novice seller, but he tried as he might to answer all the questions, bring all the disclosure and reveal everything, and hopefully people would make an informed decision. With all that in mind, according to classic.com, your basic C2S in the secondary market from the 993 generation averages around $147,900 in the secondary market. JP, we all agreed that this car would be $250,000 and up if everything went right. And in this case, it didn't. So I wasn't betting against the car, but I was bidding against this particular lot. And as such, I thought that the top bid would be $198,993. It turned out I was easily the lowest man on the totem pole because as you and Sarah revealed your bids and we were watching the bids come in from the herd, everybody was in the $220,000 to $250,000 range. For sake of argument, your bid came in at $249,993. And while it wasn't the top bid, it was up there. And then Sarah Lassick, our guest host, third nerd from 000 Magazine, who owns a 993 with a manual transmission and two-wheel drive, she gave us the very astute bid of $237,000. Way to go, Sarah. Our car hammered for $227,000, where it failed to sell on 29 bids. JP, technically between you and I won that one, but Sarah was the closest. She was within 10 grand. Tip the hat to Sarah. Rookie on her first swing, hits one all the way to the wall and out of the park. Nicely done, Sarah. You get a win. There's a Bid Nerd Speedo in the mail on its way to you right now. So, JP, between the two of us, you were closer by 4 grand. We straddled it by a wide stretch. Obviously, Sarah's the winner. Couple of questions and a lot to unpack. Again, we think that this car is worth $250,000 to $270,000. At $227,000, is there any part of you that thinks that this seller should have conceded and pulled the reserve and let it go for that number? Or do you think he has a chance to pivot and either come back to market in 6 months, or what a lot of people do, migrate over to P-car market and try his hand again? Or who knows, he could, even in 6 months, he could sell it again. He could bring it to a live auction in Monterey or something of that nature. What do you think is in the cards for this seller as he continues to look for a buyer for this car? What say you?
Yeah, this whole idea of adding some time to the auction just seems really, really weird to me. I feel like at that point the auction's screwed. Everyone's going, wait, what's going on? Do we give this guy slack? Do we not? I don't get the sense that this guy had any malice intention. I think you're right, Deeb. He was just novice. But it kind of reminds me of Tanya Harding, back in the day, out there with her leg up on the edge of the rink, trying to go, oh, look, my laces came undone. And meanwhile, everyone's like, yeah, that might be a legitimate gripe, but you hired some guy to, smash the knees of your competitor. Everyone's going, is this girl, is she Is she okay? We want to give her the benefit of the doubt, but we don't know because there's some weird stuff going on. I think at this point, the seller, the one smart thing he did was not take the money and to go ahead and you need to just collect your thoughts, go hire a professional, let someone else deal with this. You're out of your league. Hire someone like Deeb or someone, bring it to a live auction, like you said, Sotheby's. The whole thing it's like do-over, man. Call a mulligan, hire someone to make new assets. Not that these assets are bad. I mean, they're actually pretty. They're adequate, right? I mean, for a car of this stature, you would like to see something maybe more exciting and more romantic, and like 911R always does some really dramatic stuff. But these photos do feel like they're honest and they're showing everything the way we want to see it. But again, we're talking about a super blue chip car, and if you want all the money for it, then you're gonna have to just do it right. So I suspect that's what's going on. What do you guys think is going on? Kendall Jenner already has one, so all the worst people in the world, like I said in the last episode, are the ones that want these.
350 photos. I mean, he definitely hired somebody and paid them to reveal everything. So yeah, fair, adequate assets for sure. But yeah, if you are going to come back to the auction space, as ridiculous as it sounds, you might want to do another bucket of photos and do something, as my partner always says, sell the romance of the car, and that would be really cool. You could upgrade the photos if you work with a good photographer.
Well, and there's no video on this ad, is there? Is there video? I mean, oh wait, no, there is some video. Okay, it's just there's no, it's just nothing's really there. There's a driving video, but it's just not that good, right? I mean,
no, it's like it's got the guy's belly in it. You want to see the steering wheel of the road. You don't want to see the seller's outfit. That's not how it works.
Yeah, this is just bad. And I didn't actually watch the video before, but let's see if he does the. Oh yeah, look at that. He's got his hand on the bottom of the wheel. And he's shifting, and this is just this guy.
No.
Okay, come on. You're not doing it, pal. Not helping yourself. Gosh, that's a huge pet peeve of mine. All right, what do you guys think of the results of this C2S? Did the one smart thing the seller do was to refuse to take the 227 and come back later, or should he have taken that money and run and just get out of it and? You're not good at this, buddy. So we'll see if this car pops up on PCAR Market tomorrow and go from there. Let us know what you think, and let's move on. What was the next car on the list?
All right, JP, we got to circle back to a 1975 Ferrari Dino 308 GT4. Our car is on PCAR Market showing, where's the mileage on this thing? God, PCAR Market's such a bad thing. 60,185 miles. The car is listed out of Torrance, California. JP, this car is a particular veteran of the auction scene. Last year, we noted that this car ran on Hemmings in July, where it failed to sell at $69,000. And then in September, the car ran again on PCAR Market, where it failed to sell for just $39,000. Somehow, PCAR Market talked this seller into bringing this car back to market for a third run. And so, John, sometimes the quick pivot over to PCAR Market gives you a second legitimate chance to try and garner an offer or a winning bid in some manner. This car doesn't have great assets. They don't have any fresh assets. There's very little talk about the services that have been provided on the car, tire dates and timing belts and things like that were not disclosed in the auction. And so we wondered aloud how this car would fare third time around. So JP, CordayClassic.com, the average selling price for a 75 Series 1 Dino 308 GT4 is about $70,800. I thought this car would only stand a chance to get to about $58,000. JP, you took the under at $39,000, and Sarah Lassick, our guest host from 000 magazine, her bid came in underneath John's at $38,000. JP, our car hammered for $55,000, where it failed to sell, which is kind of what we all predicted. Yeah. Just 7 bids. This car got no love. And again, if you're going to let these guys talk you into coming back to market, you got to do fresh assets and you got to disclose. What's really interesting, JP, is we opened our computers to get ready for tonight's show. I'm basically reopening these listings, and it seems that car has since sold. P-Car Market accepted an offer at $57,000. And let me put that in perspective for you. That is, I can't even do the math. That is $12,000 under what the hammer was on Hemmings back in July a year ago. So this is, by all accounts, if the selling dealer down there in Torrance, California, is selling this car on consignment, which is possibly the truth, I would say it's probably likely. They may own it, but I would say it's more than likely that car is on consignment. They did their seller no favors by, having such a poor listing and not accepting the 69 grand, which seems to be a pretty fair offer. 69, I'll remind you, is within a few $100s of the $70,000 classic.com average for the models. So just a disaster here, JP. And again, credit to P-Car Market in some degree. They got them an offer that they eventually accepted. But I feel like the selling dealer really let down potentially the owner of this car, the consignor, because by all accounts, it's a nice car. And by all accounts, it should have sold for $69,000. And that's just not what happened. And they wasted almost a year of this person's time. So, JP, what do you make of this absolute disaster? I mean, it almost seems like at every turn they did it wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this car... These cars need help anyway. The 308 GT4 is a really cool car. We have one here in Vegas that just came to town. We were talking about at the beginning of the show how the 24-hour rally, not 24-hour, but the Lemons rally is happening here in Las Vegas this weekend. And a friend of the show is actually bringing one of these. He's already brought it here. He shipped it out. His is a 79, so it's a newer one, less horsepower, all the technical stuff that you've told us about on the last episode. But I went out and personally, and I drove that car because I've never driven one of these. I missed my chance to drive our friend Yuri's, and I just absolutely fell in love with it. I love these cars. They are so much fun to drive, and I immediately went home and, watched every gosh darn YouTube video about them. And what was interesting when I did that, Deeb, was that, when I went on YouTube, I was surprised how many videos there are about them. That all kind of happened in this same window, this couple year ago window. Like all the big players, everyone, Magnus Walker did one on his show, was the next big thing. And then JM did one, and the Smoking Tire did one, and what's his name's garage? Yeah, Camissa's big thing. It's like everybody. It's like all of a sudden this car hit. And it feels like everyone was just trying to prop it up because a couple of years ago, all the cool classic stuff was getting gobbled up and people are going, all right, well, what else is out there? And these kind of popped on the radar, but I just feel like it just didn't pop, right? It's a bit of a dud, even though the car is absolutely spectacular. I think that by and large, they're just not that exciting looking to the average person. They don't have that Ferrari look that people are kind of, especially because it's Bertone and all that kind of stuff instead of Pininfarina. So I think these are always going to languish. I don't think this car will ever be the next big thing. I think these cars will be appreciated by those of us who know what they are, but those are few and far between. So I think this car is just going to be one of those, all right, this is going to be an inexpensive way to get in this fabulous Ferrari for not a lot of money. Hopefully you've got some extra money on the side to maintain the thing. And, and off you go. It's a great, 911, air-cooled 911 alternative. For someone who isn't as flashy, that might want something, a little bit more Ferrari, like a 355 or something like that. But do you think these are ever going to really hit, Deeb? I know some of them do, the really collectible ones, but generally,
So, JP, you hit it right on the head because you said the car already had its moment. A couple of years ago, everybody was talking about it. And we see if you go to classic.com or if you go to bring a trailer and you put in this model of car, there have been 3-4 cars that have sold for $150,000 and $200,000 and $220,000, but the average is still around 70 grand. And so while there's always going to be some exceptional examples out there that will, raise an eyebrow when you see somebody spent, well over 6 figures for a GT4, by and large, you can get a good one for a reasonable price, and it is an Italian alternative to a nice running air-cooled 911. And I think that's all it will ever be. So there it is in a nutshell. And listen, getting a 70s Ferrari is not for everybody. I think almost anybody could get into an air-cooled Porsche, have a car checked out pre-purchase, and get into a safe car and go and enjoy the car, learn how to drive the rear-wheel drive and the floor-mounted pedals and all that stuff. Great. But man, taking on the responsibility and the maintenance and the repair costs of a Ferrari from this era is a totally different commitment level. So this car is just never going to have broad appeal. It's polarizing to look at, but it's not for the faint of wallet, and it's not for the uninitiated. This really takes a dedicated enthusiast who has an Italian mechanic in their back pocket. Not JP. That's few and far between, and more scarce every day. So yeah, this car's not going anywhere.
Or if you can wrench, I mean, that was one thing I was getting from watching all the videos, is people were going, look, if you are a wrench, they are like accessible. It's not as bad as like you don't have to pull the engine to change the plugs. You can actually get to everything. It's easier if you do, but these, home workshop guys are able to do stuff on them. But I'm just not that guy, and I don't have the space. And man, I have fallen in love with the GT4 Dino. I love that car. If I'm ever in a situation where it can be added to the collection, I'd like to see one of these in a larger garage one day. But in the short term, I just don't see it happening. But all right, what do you guys think of the GT4? Is it a hidden gem, or is it the next big thing, like Magnus Walker suggested? Let us know in the comments. And what do you think the seller should do at this point? I guess it doesn't matter. They accepted an offer, and was that the right thing to do? 57 grand. Some people are having a come to Jesus moment, and I think this guy's probably going, oh, the market's. He's probably. I see this guy pointing at everything but himself, because he's let so many opportunities go. I think he got caught up in that next big thing buzz, and now he's finally said, okay, I'm out. But bro, it's not the car. It's how you listed it. This is absolutely one of those situations where, is the theme of the day novice sellers? People that are just screwing it up?
Yeah,
oh, boy.
I think so. We'll see.
All right.
We have a lot to talk about. All right, JP, the next car, we're going to run right back to Cars and Bids and take a look at the 1994 Mazda RX-7 that was listed here on Doug DeMiro's site. This car happens to be a touring model, but they didn't put touring in the heading for the car, which I think is a failure, because there was a base model, and this isn't one of them. This is a special edition, but unless you read the body of the description, you wouldn't know that it was a touring. I think that's a bit of a fail on Cars and Bids, and JP, we know for a fact Cars and Bids is in a massive transition, as they have culled almost 50% of their staff, and now things are slipping through the cracks. I wonder, JP, if this car would have brought more money if it had been brought, or at least listed correctly, with all of the special things that this car would have in the heading. Okay, with my little rant aside, taking a look at this car that was on Cars and Bids, our car had 70,000 miles, a replacement motor. It's on a clean New York title, and it was listed out of Danbury, Connecticut. JP, our friends at Classic.com tell us that 94 RX-7 Tourings typically bring $45,200. John, I thought this car would languish. My bid for the car was just $35,007. You came in about $4,000 over me at $39,007. And Sarah Lassick, who's super bullish on the young timers, thought that these cars are having a moment. Her bid came in just over yours, JP. She was in at $40,050. John, our car did not do so well. Part of the reason for my rant, because I wonder if Cars and Bids left money on the table and not the seller. The hammer on this car was just $31,500, but it did sell at that number on 28 bids. So the seller took that offer. But do you think, JP, when you look at 31 and you look at the car in the photos, do you think this car should have brought, maybe 35, which was my number? Or do you think it was even worth closer to you and Sarah's numbers at 39 and 40 grand? Because the average for one of these is 45. Are you telling me that this car was worth $14,000 less than the average? Or, do we look in a different direction and say, hey, Deeb, the market is crap, crypto's crap, Trump's a raving lunatic according to half the planet, blah, blah, blah. It's just a bad time to sell a Japanese toy. What do you think's going on?
I mean, look at the results of a lot of the other Japanese cars that we've seen. A lot of the JDM cars are doing really well on a platform that actually has traffic. I think Cars and Bids is, we spend a lot of time, or I spend a lot of time dumping on P-Car Market. But honestly, if I am faced with selling any car, honestly, whether it's a Porsche or some kind of really cool JDM thing like this, Cars and Bids isn't even on the list. Forget it. Just forget it. Right? I would rather go to P-Car Market, honestly, than Cars and Bids, because I think P-Car Market, at least people are kind of checking in, because there are deals there. They've got the Chum Bucket, which is the deal tank, which actually gets some traffic. Those used car salesmen out there in Oyster Bay, at least they're doing something, trying to close sales after the fact. They may not be, the most trustworthy guys in the world, but if you're selling something, I mean,
give us your Long Island, JP. Give us an
opportunity. Give me an opportunity to sell you a car, right? Yeah, no, I'm not an East Coast guy, but there it is. I mean, I think Cars and Bids is now irrelevant. I think that Doug his moment is over, and this all the bad news about his layoffs and stuff like that. It's just like brutal. Why bother? Why bother? We haven't seen a big result on Cars and Bids in ages. We are seeing some cars close, but none of them are closing for now. If this car were on BAT, I mean, come on. Look at this thing. The other thing, too, is that you mentioned, Deeb, the average is 45, and I assume that includes the right-hand drive ones.
I suppose. It just, was essentially for a touring. It was the average for a touring.
Okay, so, I mean, the bottom line, it's like when you look for one of these, half the time you're looking for them, you come up with right-hand drive ones. And some of the enthusiasts like that, but by and large, most of the collectors don't. They want the left-hand drive one so they can actually go out and drive it, like this one. And just, man, Doug, you screwed the pooch. Go back to screw. No, I'm not going to make that joke because I got in so much trouble last time. But there it is. I think that... I think Doug is just totally irrelevant. Yeah.
It wasn't a pedophile joke. It was a
It wasn't a pedophile joke. For the record, I don't think Doug DeMuro is a pedophile. I said it very clearly. He looks like a pedophile. And if you didn't know him and he moved in next door to you, you'd be like,
According to my partner, Doug DeMuro could not be a pedophile. He likes dogs too much.
I don't know what you're talking about on that one, but sure, why not? What do you guys think? This seller, should they have put it on a real platform like Bring a Trailer, or a crappy one that at least is aggressive like P-Car Market? I don't think there's any other game in town. I mean, maybe Sotheby's if you have something super high-end. Like a Countach or some, pre-war thing or something really, really expensive, $1 million plus cars. But if you're talking, stuff for normal people like this RX-7, normal enthusiasts at least, I think it's Bring a Trailer or P-Car Market, or just forget it. Just put it on Marketplace. You're wasting your time on Cars and Bids. All right, let us know what you guys think. And look, it's time to make some predictions. This is the fun part of the show. You've stuck around this long. Hang out for just another minute. We are coming back with some great predictions and some interesting cars tonight. Hey guys, I gotta tell you about our friends Godden Porsche of Las Vegas and Godden Classic. If you're looking for a new Porsche or a classic, you gotta call our friend Steve at Godden, this guy. Save yourself the hassle of screwing around with all the auctions like we always talk about, and just talk to Steve. He'll find you the classic Porsche you're looking for. Godden Porsche of Las Vegas. Hey guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if Bid Nerds will ever end. So you better talk to our friends at Our Smiths to make sure your Rolex, Tag Heuer, AP, or any fine timepiece is in tip-top shape. Our Smiths, fine Swiss repair. All right, we are back. Fine Swiss repair up there at Our Smiths. Our friend A. Vieira Anthony, he's in the chat right now hanging out with us, and he's always one of the best members of the Nerd Herd. So thanks for hanging out, Anthony. If you guys have a fine Swiss watch that is in need of repair, say hello to him. And look at that. Deeb's wearing his A. Vieira Anthony designed watch, man. That's a one of a kind right there. That's a looker. That's not going to need service for a while. That's a brand new watch.
This thing is fantastic, and I get compliments on it all the time. Anthony Vieira literally designed this watch from scratch. And essentially it's a prototype. I do think he plans on building a limited run of these watches. So if this thing looks attractive to you, a lot of my Rolex friends say it basically looks like a Submariner. He plans on making just a very limited run of these watches, and they're handmade. This thing is fantastic, and I've only had it for like a month. I get compliments on it almost every time I go out in a big crowd, so it's great. Everybody's like, dude, let me see your watch. So Anthony Vera hooked it up. If you want one, you should reach out to him. I think he will make you one, and there are certain aspects of the watch that are can be bespoke. So like if you want a dark face or a colored bezel or something like that, I think Anthony can work with you to make something even more custom than a bespoke handmade watch. I think he can sort of dial it to your taste. So reach out to him if you're interested, because this watch is available.
That is awesome. All right. Or one similar to it. That one on your wrist is not available because that is yours.
Well, make me an offer.
Oh, look out. It's Bid Nerds for watches, apparently. Okay, this is happening.
Let's go.
All right. Let's get to some listings. There's some interesting cars tonight. What's the first car on the list that we're going to make a prediction on? What do we got?
All right, JP, deja vu all over again. Currently on PCAR market is this 29,000-mile 1995 Porsche 993 Carrera that has been treated to an incredible speedster conversion. Now, if you have been watching the show, we covered this car several months ago. And if you've been familiar with JP's work through the Defascination video series that was on YouTube and Instagram and stuff, dating all the way back to 2016, you may also recognize this car because there is an entire video that has been made for this particular car. JP, if I may, I'm going to tease ahead to next Wednesday when we plan to have guest host, a third nerd from Las Vegas, Dustin Daubkis, who worked with the owner of this car and basically was the person who turned the wrenches to create this, just about one-of-a-kind 993 Speedster conversion. So my old knowledge, JP, is that Seinfeld got one and Bootsy Porsche got one, that the factory only made two. There are a handful of people on the West Coast that have created replicas of the cars. And I think, JP, you would agree with me that Jaeger's old car, the car that we see here on this page, is arguably the most faithful, with so much incredible attention to detail. And let's face it, Dustin is no stranger to the 993 platform. He has an incredible RS build that he drives and just wreaks havoc in. He is very fast in this car, but he worked with Jaeger to create this incredible, faithful replica. And John, you knew Jaeger and his wife very, very well. You did a whole video series on it. That's the prep work. The car is on PCAR market. The car now has 28,700 miles. It's listed in California, JP, Calabasas, California, and it's coming back to market. Let me just read this really quickly because I think I put a note. Where did I put the note? Hey, John, you talk. The car ran a while ago, and we covered it, and it got a big number, and we're curious to see what it's going to do this time around, because whoever paid this extraordinary money for the car is deciding to get off of it. And I'm going to say, JP, as I hand it over to you, I think they're coming to market a little too soon after they paid top dollar for it. I don't know that they should expect to be able to do as well as what they paid for the car. However, there are not many others like it, so maybe that doesn't matter. And they've included your video and a host of other assets in the listing, which I think will help build value in the car. But JP, nobody knows the car as well as you and Dustin, who will come and help us reconcile the hammer price when we come back to the show on Wednesday. JP, take it away.
Yeah, I'm a cover magazine model, me, yours truly. I was on the cover of 9/11 magazine driving this exact car. They came out here to Vegas, and Jaeger, the owner of the car, he's one of these guys. He's like literally a jet fighter pilot, and he was like, he was literally like climbing Mount Everest that month. Yeah. So he was like, hey, can you go, be the guy to drive my car for this magazine shoot? And so why not? That was a lot of fun. I did look like I had a stick up my butt, though, because I was just so nervous driving this one-of-a-kind car that, you just can't replace this stuff. Look, if you want one of these, you can't have one. I mean, there's just, like you said, Deeb, Porsche didn't make them. So when it comes to the factory 993, Porsche only made one, and that was Bootsy's car. So Seinfeld's was a special wishes car. That car came off the factory off the factory line as a cabrio was shipped across the ocean to Seinfeld, who then shipped it back, and then they converted it into
JP, that is good, useless trivia. What intel? Only on Bid Nerds can you get that much
Only on Nerds can you get that, especially when it comes to speedsters. Yeah.
Factual data. That is good work, JP. I forgot that fact, but it sounds familiar as you say it, because again, we've talked about, since I've known you, this has been one of the great cars in the Durfascination universe, a car that when you would do a show, Jaeger would show up in California, in Nevada, and post this car right under the Dur flags, right under the Dur television set. This was one of the, like, literally, as I showed up on the scene, you had this incredible posse, and Jaeger, who's such a cool guy, and this car was just so amazing. Was such a the car is like larger than life. It's a character, you know what I mean? It gets its own.
I think it goes beyond that, because honestly, I don't think you and I would know each other, Deeb. I don't think this car is so significant because Jaeger, I want to say back in 2011, maybe 12, something like that, he brought it up to the Northwest. We've had Nathan Mers on the show a number of times. He used to run an event called 993 Fest. And I heard about it, and I had a 993 cab at the time that was all super modded. And so I went on this 993 Fest because I knew Nathan, and show up, and here's this amazing red speedster. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't think that existed. And I met Jaeger, and we talked and became fast friends. He's from Vegas. So when we first moved to Vegas, he was pretty much the only person in this city that I knew. And he introduced me to a bunch of the Porsche people, and that from there, boom, took off. So there would be no Defrostination if it weren't for Jaeger. I remember one time we went to Car Week. I want to say it was like one of the first times I'd ever been to Car Week. And, I had a turbo 993 that I was driving. It wasn't mine. It was from God, and they lent it to me. And I remember him and I just ripping on the back roads on the Dan Run, for any of you guys that remember the world famous Dan Run. That's where I met Ben, the professor, and the 3-pedal posse. I met a bunch of people that have really become part of our lives now. So it's amazing how these cars can really change your life, even when you don't even know them. Now, this car, again, this is a speedster conversion. This is not a real speedster. If there is such a thing, it's crazy. They decided to go wide body on this car because they figured if Porsche did make it, it would have been an S car. They decided to do the inlet on the side. Most of the replicas that you see do not have the inlet on the side. And fun fact, those inlets go nowhere. That's one of these like decidedly Porsche things. That is a design, I hate that. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Should we call it a cul-de-sac?
Right. I mean, it goes to the chassis. It just stops. That thing is actually adding drag. It's not doing anything for the car. It's crazy. That you expect that on a Dodge Charger with a big scoop on the hood that goes nowhere, or on a Corvette, all the inlets that don't do anything. But yeah, there it is on Porsche. All right. So there is something else that I want to, before we get to numbers too, Deeb, I think it's important to note. Boy, we've talked a lot about Carfax lately. And it's important to bring up, I don't want to disparage this car at all, because it really is an amazing car. But here's the thing, this car, okay, so here's the Carfax, right? Can you guys see that? No accidents or damage reported, which is true. But then the very first thing you see on here, back in 1996, when this car was brand new at 18 miles, a salvage title was issued for this vehicle due to theft. And then the car was, title report. So it's like, I'm not suggesting that this thing should have a salvage on it, but you and I were talking just the other day. I personally have a car that I'm trying, that we're listing on Bring a Trailer, and one of the reasons why it hasn't gone live yet is because I got a Carfax that said branded title for a mileage discrepancy. Like a mileage discrepancy. Since when do they brand a title for mileage discrepancy? One, the title I got from Arizona had no brand on it, and the brand new title that I have from Washington State, which is where the car is registered, I went up there and got a brand spanking new title just to confirm there's no brand on it. There's no brand on my damn title, and Carfax says there is. Here's a car that was salvaged, and it says title issued as a salvage brand, and the Carfax doesn't say salvage. Carfax, pick a lane. What are we doing? Does everything have a brand or not? I mean, this is one of those situations, and again, P-Car Market doesn't mention it anywhere in the listing, and I don't necessarily think it should be prominently listed, but it should be in the damn listing somewhere that it was like the first thing that happened to this car, but the title, the title doesn't have a brand. You know what I mean? It's just like, just disclose this stuff. If I'm looking at a car that someone's going to want to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on, and then you go look at the Carfax and you're like, wait, what is this whole, when you got to start digging to find out the truth, it makes things look shady. If you're just upfront about this shit in the first place, P-Car Market, you won't have these goddamn problems. It's these stupid, unforced errors that P-Car makes over and over and over. And now we're seeing Doug DeMuro do this kind of stuff too. I'm starting to, it's really ticking me off. What do you think of this car, and what do you think it's going to bring? Let's get to predictions based on that.
All right, JP, just a reminder to everybody that we covered this car when it was on P-Car Market way back in November of 2023. So, JP, it's been, let's face it, a year and like 5 months this car ran. So, really quickly, when the car ran back in November 14th of 2023, the car failed to sell at $226,000. But the very next day, the car sold because they accepted an offer just $4,000 higher. The car sold for $230,000. So in of itself, this car's best comp is its purchase price from, what are we going to do, 16 months ago. And that was at $230,000. At the moment, JP, our car is currently sitting at $162,000. That comes to us by way of 4 bids, and the car closes tomorrow. JP, there are a handful of speedsters on the West Coast. There's a 96 with twin turbos. There's a white conversion out here in the Bay Area. There's a conversion that's done in Arena Red. But this car that Jaeger and with the help of Dustin built is really special with the speed lines and the racing seats. And like you said, it's a wide body with the Turbo S scoops. It's a really, really neat car. It's very well executed. And in of itself, I still think it's a one of one. John, I think the car will break the $200,000, but I don't think it'll get to the $230,000 that they paid for it. My bid is going to be $210,000. If this is a reasonable seller, he may take that offer, or they may hammer out a deal with less fees to P-Car Market or something like that. If not, if this guy's cashing in, and he's welcome to think that way because he may eventually get it if he finds the right buyer, this car could wind up in the chum bucket for like $250,000. That wouldn't surprise me either. But I still think the P-Car Market's audience, I think, will get off the car at $210,000. So that's the bid to you. Where are you going to come in at?
Yeah, I don't think this car breaks 200. I absolutely think it's worth more than 200. I think it's worth what this seller paid for it, and even more. I mean, you're just not going to find, and it has low mile. Like this car is,
yeah, really.
This car is Tits McGee, guys. This is as nice a car as you're possibly going to find, assuming and nothing's been messed up since the last time I saw it. But it looks like it has like 10 more miles on it since the last time I saw it. So yeah, but I think it's going to the chum bucket for $250 to $280, something like that. I really think this should be a $300,000 car. It's that nice. And I will tell you, Jaeger sold it for a lot more. I'm not going to disclose the number that he sold it for, but the number that he sold it for, like, because I never thought he'd sell it. It's like, why would he sell this? Like, he spent all this time and effort and money, and he kind of became branded as this car. I was like, but when I heard the number that he sold it for back in the height of everything, it was like I had to sit down. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Whoa.
So, you know, congrats, but yeah, this is a $250,000 to $300,000 car in my book. You can't build one. Even if you have all the money in the world, you can't get those. You can't get that windshield frame. You can't get the glass. Nobody can make it. I guess the frame is licensed, so that's why no one has been able to make a copy of it. I guess something like that. I don't know. I talked to the 9M guys that tried to do one. Anyways, yeah. So, did I give you a number? I said what? Yeah.
No. You said you want
1993 and zeros. Yeah.
99,300.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's my
got
number.
you. You're
right.
in.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Good number. And again, when we come back on Wednesday, we're gonna have Dustin say his last name for me. Dabkis, Dustin Dabkis, who again, largely responsible for building this car in conjunction with Jaeger. He's going to come on and reconcile bids with us. Get your number in the comments on this one. This is going to be a fun one to watch. And it's entirely possible that JP and I are wrong, and there's two buyers out there that fight over this. And it wouldn't surprise me also, JP, if the car sold on Monday for $285,000, and you know that wouldn't blow me away either. That would be, yep, I could totally see it. Again, you cannot make this car. JP has said for years that windshield is unobtainium, and the windows are completely different because there's no little smoking window. You know what I mean? So it's just a very difficult car.
There's a lot of like
recreate.
Surprise parts and things to deal with, and getting your old windshield off requires so much. It's like cutting it. I mean, it's just. It is like I kind of wanted when I had my cab, I always kind of intended to like, okay, maybe one day I'll convert it and maybe not go all the way. Maybe I'll just like leave the side glass out, not even, cut the little wing window off or whatever, because I never had the windows up anyway. But even that, I found out how much work it would be just to put the windshield on. I was like, yep, that's never going to happen. It'd be easier to convert a 993 cab to a Targa, like a true Targa, instead of the stupid version of the Targa that 993s had. Anyways, yeah, let us know what you guys think. And Buddha, hello, Buddha. Buddha invited me to go on a drive yesterday, but wasn't able to make it. So thanks for that invite, Buddha. I didn't mean to blow you off. Hope you had a lot of fun. All right, let's get to the next car. What do we got?
All right, JP, you selected for us on, let's see, bring a trailer. This 2022 Rivian R1S launch edition with the quad motor setup. Our car is on Bring a Trailer. It is listed out of Owens Cross Roads in Alabama, and our car is showing a whopping 36,000 miles on the odometer. And I only say whopping because 2022 was essentially the first year that this car came out. So I think, all those early ones are the launch editions. And this is one of the higher mileage ones I saw when I was looking for comps to try and gauge, about a fair market value for the car. The quad motor, JP, is obviously the most powerful version of the car. By all accounts, this thing is an absolute rocket ship. And although we just spent all this time fawning over this incredible sports car that Jaeger made, that 993 Speedster, this car would probably whoop that car's butt in every contest of speed because of just how dang fast this thing is. So, JP, here is this car. Looks to be in decent condition for the mileage. One of the higher mileage ones to come to the secondary market. And there it is on Bring a Trailer with some pretty average to lesser than average assets. These, by all accounts, could have been taken with a cell phone. Not exactly sure why you selected this car, but it'll be interesting to hear your take. These cars do not move the needle for me. I'm just not ready to convert to EV, nor do I think most of the country is. And yet, these cars still bring big money, I think. Or maybe they don't, and we'll find out. We'll find out that too. So this is the quad motor. This is the launch edition. We have seen, JP, that these cars bring, the high $80,000 in a secondary market, but the 22s bring a lot more than that because I think they packed all of these launch editions with like all the bells and whistles. They're like fully loaded from the factory. So these cars tend, even though they're the first year, they tend to bring good money in the secondary market. The mileage is going to hurt this one, and it'll be curious to see what the big trade-off is. Is the mileage takeover, or is the fact that it's a launch edition takeover? So, JP, take it away from me. What do you got here?
Yeah, I mean, these don't do anything for me either, but you know, our job on this show is to find the most interesting listings, what's relevant, what's going on, right? We don't see these very often on Bring a Trailer, but I think something's going on in the market right now. I mean, look, everybody has seen the news, you know, people are out there vandalizing Cybertrucks, right? It used to be that Tesla was the vehicle. If you were a smug stick up your ass, you know, environmental whatever person, and you just wanted to virtue signal, you went out and bought a Tesla. Well, now a bunch of those people are all ticked off at Tesla because they don't like Elon now. So I think a bunch of those people are going to be looking around, okay, what can I virtue signal in? What can I go out and let everybody know that I'm that I'm a good little whatever the hell you are. I think maybe this might be the alternative to that. But here's the thing. We live in, you know, we're now in kind of like this bifurcated world, right? Where you've got, you know, people on the right and people on the left. And it's just that simple. And I'm not advocating for one or the other, although I think it's pretty clear where I sit in that. But the problem with cars like this Rivian, there are a lot of options for electric cars, right? Just like there are a ton of options when it comes to news, right? Where do you get your news? Are you on CNN or CNNBC or ABC or, you know, PBS or NBC or MSNBC or whatever? Those are all the same. You have, if you're on one side of the aisle, you have 50 freaking options, right? It's basically all of them. And then there's Fox. So these absolute morons, these freaking idiots, and they're not terrorists. Everybody stop clutching your pearls. They're just stupid dum-dums who are going out and vandalizing people's cars, most of which bought them when they thought they were still on that side of the aisle. You're just making it better for the guy that you don't like, because all the people on one side of the aisle are going, well, I guess now is Tesla the new Fox of cars? Well, if I'm on that side of the aisle, if that's what I have to get, then okay, they're all gonna go to the one side. And half of everyone is a lot more than, I don't know, 0.2% of everyone else, which is what all of the other EV cars are going to be fighting for. And let's face it, the EV market's in the tank anyway, but I do think gas prices are going to be going up. That all said, what do you think this car is going to bring? Can we even call it a car?
Yeah, sport toaster. What do you want to call it, JP? I don't care. So according to our friends at classic.com, the average selling price of a R1S is $89,000. But the average selling price of just a 2022 Rivian R1S is closer to $98,000. JP, this car, as I mentioned, has way more miles than most of the others in the secondary market, even though it's just 36,000 miles. I think that's going to hold the value back just a little bit. So at the moment, JP, our car is sitting at $21,250. That comes to us by way of 3 bids. It's got 3 days to go until it closes. Basically, it closes on Wednesday, and then we'll do the show and review it that night. But, John, I just think with the mileage, and again, if I'm looking for this car, I'd be looking on Doug DeMiro's site, where you could probably shop 3 or 4 of these at any given time. You're right. We don't see Rivians or very many electric cars running on BAT, so this car seems like it's an outlier on that platform. For some strange reason, I think that's going to hold it back, JP. I'm going to go $58,000, and I think that's kind of close to all the money. It could bring 65. I'd be surprised if that were the case, but there's not a lot of comps to support that. I'm going to go 58 grand, and it should sell. Let it go.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you have one of these and you're trying to sell it, you're like, God, how quickly can I just anything, whatever. I'll take them. Just fine. Just take it. I'm going to say 55. I just don't think that there's enough people that are trying to get out of their Cybertruck and get into another EV. I think even the people that were driving these to be smug and to virtue signal about the environment, they never really gave a shit about the environment. They just gave, all they really wanted to do was show that they're, they just wanted a virtue signal. So I don't think they're going to buy something like this to continue the virtue signal. I think they're just over it. They're going to find some other way to, whatever. So I think this thing's toast. And if the guy, he better take anything that this thing brings, because I don't know how he sells this on the private market if he tries to put this on
Yeah.
Auto Trader or Marketplace or whatever, it's just going to sit there forever. So, all right, what do you guys think of the Rivian toaster thing? We don't care. We know you guys don't care. But I did want to bring it up since everyone's, carving swastikas on the side of freaking trucks or cyber trucks, which is just dumb. All right, what's the next car? We still have time? Yeah, we got time for one more car really quick.
One more car. Very interesting listing, JP. Right now on PCAR Market is this 1994 BMW 850 CSI with a 6-speed manual. That's how they all came. The car is listed, John, out of Endicott, New York. It has 107,897 miles on the odometer. What makes this listing interesting, JP, is I had put a little asterisk next to it a couple of weeks ago while the car was running on BAT. But the car didn't make it to our list. We did not review it. However, it failed to sell, obviously, on BAT. That number came in at $68,000 FTS on Bring a Trailer. And now, a couple weeks later, the car pops up on PCAR Market. Nothing new, same assets. I still think this is a really good car, JP. If this car has half the miles on it, it's a $110,000 to $130,000 car all day long. But somehow at 100,000 miles, these cars kind of plummet in value, like 50, 60,000 bucks, and they wind up being, I think, still a pretty good value. This is a hand-built M engine with a manual transmission. I think these things are future classics. You and I have covered a few of these on the show. I hope one day that me or you or Rami or Sahan, one of us has the cojones to go out and buy one of these things so we can all go out and drive it for a year until we decide to get off of it. But if you got a little money and a little courage, I think you should put a nice one of these away. And I really like this one because it's got an all-black interior and it's alpine white. It's very M, in my opinion. Most of these things, JP, are bright red or some weird blue. But I'm kind of digging this one in the white. And it just failed to sell at 68, and it's coming back to Bring a Trailer. PCAR Market. So, JP, I know we're running out of time. Do you want to say anything about it, or do you want to jump into the numbers?
I'll just say really quick that if I'm going to spend, I think the money on this is about the same as that Ferrari Dino GT4, the 308. And if I'm gonna be like rolling the dice on something that could ruin me financially, I think I'd rather do it in a Ferrari than this 12-cylinder monstrosity that I think you could get in worse trouble with this engine. I think that even with that Ferrari, at least with the Ferrari, with a little bit of ingenuity and a wrench and some duct tape and baling wire, you can actually fix it yourself. This thing, no way. What's it gonna bring?
Good luck. Yeah. All right, JP.
Look at that. Look at all that. Look at how much money. That is your, one side is your kids, college fund, and the other side is your mortgage. All right,
your retirement.
Yeah.
All right, JP. According to our friends at Classic.com, the average selling price of an 850 CSI, and it has to be the CSI are the manual cars, is $96,800. But again, this car failed to sell on BAT at $68,000. It has come back to market. It is currently at $41,888. That comes to us by way of 6 bids. At JP, the car closes in 2 days, which is going to mean the hammer's on Tuesday. I think it's going to fall short. I think it's its own worst comp, and I think people are going to jump off of it at $65,000 and wait to see what the asking price is in the chum bucket, PCAR's deal tank. And my guess is it's probably in the $75,000 to $80,000 range, and you start negotiating from there. But 65 is where I think the music stops. That's my bid, John. What's yours?
Yeah, I think it's going to have trouble making even 60 because of the exact same reason you said. I think just people are going to be like, well, this is going to the chum bucket, so how much is it really? Everyone's going to be like, PCAR Market needs to just change the name to Second Chance Market or whatever, or Third Try Market, or Another Bite at the Apple Market or whatever, because really they're just sloppy seconds from BAT. It's like, that is their brand now. They're not about Porsches. They're about crap that they couldn't sell on BAT. And, if you're a seller who's come to Jesus, go, okay, I should have taken the $70,000 or whatever that it got to on BAT, but I didn't. So let's just go take my second shot at, we'll put it on PCAR, and I'll just get as close to that as I can and get the hell out and tuck my tail between my legs. That's what it's good for. I mean, and that's a platform. That's something that you can hang a hat on as a platform. It's a hell of a lot more than Doug DeMuro has right now. I mean, because nobody's going, oh, I didn't sell on BAT, so let's hear. I guess I'll go over to Cars and Bids and take a set. No, that you never see that happen, because at least with P-Car Market, you do have the chum bucket, so people can actually get an idea of like, okay, this is what the seller actually wants, and is the person nuts, or is there actually a chance of getting the car? I think P-Car Market, there I'm saying out loud, BAT and P-Car Market are it. Doug DeMuro,
good luck.
He's on Epstein Island or something. All right.
What's your bid? What's your bid?
It's a resort now. It's a resort now. There's no kids.
Yeah, that's true. Sure.
Oh, I didn't give you a number? Yeah, okay.
No.
I'll go, what did I say? It's not going to beat 60, so I'll go. What was your number?
I was at 65.
Yeah, I'll go 59,850.
All right, good number.
And that's it. That is a show, guys. I don't think Doug DeMuro is a pedophile. He just looks like one. Hey, guys, I got to tell you about our friends God and